This is Trend Following Radio, where great thinking comes alive. Nobel Prize winners, legendary traders, best-selling authors, and the pros that know what drive us irrational human beings. I am your host, Michael Covel. Not filtered, raw, honest. That's my passion. So here's the deal. Data is a bitch. Data tells a story. Data is your truth, if truth is what you're after. Now, if you want to create a story that has nothing to do with the truth, if you just want to be an evil human, you can do that. It's quite easy with data. Today, I want to share two data sets, pieces of data sets. One, a particular trader. One, American crime statistics. In both cases, there is an army of people that misuse the data, abuse the data, and say the data is wrong. Or they deliberately hide the data in a way. They prevaricate. They make things deliberately unclear. That's America today. Deliberately unclear. The people that interpret, let's say, Wall Street statistics or American crime statistics, they like this act of being deliberately unclear. Because then they can sell you some other bullshit story. Now, I mentioned last week on this podcast, a particular trader, Paul Mulvaney. I mentioned a X run-in that I had with an individual. And I said something to the effect of, why would February 2024 performance for Mulvaney Capital mean anything unless it's up 99% or down 99%? Meaning, Mulvaney Capital has a 20-year plus track record, like many other trend-following traders in the hedge fund space. So why would 1 month matter? But I gave myself the out, because I guess if he went up 100% in 1 month, or he went down 100% in 1 month, blew out, that would be useful information. Well, he was up 45% for the month, which I think ties him with his best month. Maybe with a decimal point, it might be his best month ever in a 22-year plus track record. Now just pause and let that sink in for a second. Some trader out there trading a legitimate strategy with an audit trail, regulated by the government, a track record that posts every month, just produced a 45% return for 1 month. Now, of course, we can look at the headlines and people can cherry pick and they can say, well, look at Bitcoin, it went up. The tech stocks went up. Okay, fair enough. But that's not a strategy. Those are just particular markets that if you happen to be in, you've done very well. But 45% in a month, if you're a curious individual, should cause you to get excited if you don't know how he did it. Now, maybe it's easier for a young person. If you're in your 20s right now and you hear this and you're interested in Wall Street and you're not connected to Wall Street, well, why not spend a couple months or a couple years figuring out how Mulvaney Capital made 45% in February of 2024? Back to my speech last week. It's a college class. It's a semester, if you can understand. Literally just 1 month. Now, of course, 1 month is not necessarily lucky because we're talking about an entire track record. However, if a month shows up that shows a positive 45%, that's an absolutely interesting story to investigate. Now, of course, as I said at the top of this conversation today, some people will take that number and they will change it to something else. Meaning they'll say it was too much risk, maybe. They'll say it was lucky, maybe. They'll have all kinds of other reasons for why you should not pay attention. Don't listen. Look at the damn numbers. Don't listen to some guy on TV who probably had all of his genitalia chopped off and has long ago ceased being a human being. He's some talking head eunuch on TV, repeating whatever is said to him in his earpiece, reading the teleprompter. Don't pay attention. The thing that matters is the damn data. The 45% for February of 2024. If you don't know how a trader did that and you're curious, don't listen to anyone unless they tell you how it happened. And don't listen to anyone until you figure out how it happened. Again, if you're curious. Now, of course, I would argue that everyone should be curious. Because when you're in a world of all-time high equities, all-time high Bitcoin, interest rates much higher than where they were a few years ago, those situations don't last if you look at the history books. I mean, why would the Fed cut rates with asset prices zooming up? That's not a fundamental prediction for me. It's not necessarily even a fundamental observation. It's just an observation to be thinking about. Because when, historically, you get high rates, high asset prices, typically things don't end well. Now, typically don't end well is not something you can bet on, and history never necessarily repeats itself. Sometimes it rhymes a little. For instruction purpose, take a look at 1999. Look at the NASDAQ. Then look at the NASDAQ over 2000, 2001, and 2002. Take a look at interest rates at the time. Look for patterns. Look for parallels. Does that mean you're going to trade off that pattern? You're going to trade off that parallel? No, that's not what trend following does. But you are a human being. I'm a human being. We can observe the outside world. And when the rubber band gets stretched, things typically happen. And when big things happen, those outlier trades on the edge of the bell curve, big profits are often around the corner. So perhaps 45% by this one trend following trader that I'm talking about today is just one great month. Perhaps it's the start of even better months. We don't know. We can't predict the future. But you can find out how that damn month was generated. I know how it was generated. Many people listening know how it was generated. Many of the professionals that have appeared on my podcast know how it was generated. But you should know. And again, it's the data. It's the damn number. Now let me take it to crime statistics in America because it's connected. The crime statistics in America, if you look at those crime statistics by race, tell an amazing story. A story that most people are not aware of. Go to the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation for America. Go check out their crime stats. 60% of gun homicides in America are committed by Black Americans, Black males. 60% of the gun homicides by one particular group. Now, how big is that group in America? Black America is 13% of the population. Black American males make up 6.5% of the population. Well, the babies and the older guys are not doing all the killing. So let's just say approximately 3 to 4% of the American population commits 60% of the gun homicides. Now, if I say that on this podcast, just like if I repeat trend following data a second ago, some people's heads explode. They don't want to know the truth. They can't handle the truth. The truth messes up a story. The truth perhaps messes up their political stance. Perhaps the truth messes up their money. The truth can mess up a lot of things for people if they're not in the business of the truth. Now, let me take this to another level. I'm reading from Statista. I guess that's how they pronounce it. A bunch of crime statistics. And it's got a category here. Number of people killed by police by ethnicity in the U.S. 2013 to 2023. And it says, as of December 18th, 282 Black people were killed by the police in the United States in 2023. This compares to 201 Hispanic people and 495 white people. The rate of police shootings of Black Americans is much higher than any other ethnicity at 5.9 per million people. This rate stands at 2.5 per million for Hispanic people and 2.3 per million for white people. That is one of the most dishonest pieces of propaganda that you can possibly read. Can it get any more dishonest? Now, they know the data that I just read to you, that 60% of American gun homicides are committed by approximately 3% of the population, young Black men. 60% of all killings, all gun killings, done by 3% of the population. But I'm told, in this particular interpretation of data, that I should look at police interactions, police shootings of Black Americans with an unusual eye, because those shootings are so much higher than Hispanic or white Americans. Excuse me. If inner city America is the OK Corral, if Black guys are killing Black guys nonstop at rates that dwarf everybody else, and it's not even close, and police have to go into that, why would we not expect the police to kill more Black men? Now, some of you are already twisting your underwear in knots. I'm never listening to this guy Covel again. He's talking politics. Am I? Or am I just talking the truth? Am I talking the data? Has anybody been to a major American city recently? The downtown areas? How's it look to you? Look safe? Look friendly? Look inviting? Go there at night by yourself? Give me a break. We all know the answers. If I can do anything on this podcast for the rest of my life, it's to speak the truth. If I can't speak the truth, if I have to pretend that the statistics that I cite here, that police kill Black men at a higher rate, without mentioning the rate at which Black men kill, which thus increases the police interaction. If you can't look at this story completely, if you can't hear it because of your politics, if you don't want to know because of your politics, we're right back to the trend following data. And I could pick some other data set. We could surely find, for example, the use of antidepressants. Why is the use of antidepressants off the charts in America? Good question. Is it like that in every country? Of course not. So why is the American use so high? Are we allowed to talk about that? Are we allowed to ask questions? Are we allowed to dig deep? Or if we say the wrong thing, like, for example, if I was to talk about American COVID deaths, that the vast majority of people that died from COVID, the vast majority of people, listen to what I'm saying, folks, the vast majority of people in America that died from COVID were medical definition, morbidly obese, with, on average, 10 comorbidities, meaning these were terribly unhealthy people to begin with. Now, of course, I know some of you bright thinkers out there then try to take that piece of information and say, well, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't have done anything. No, that was not your right to do something to me, because I was not one of the morbidly obese people who had given up or who had 10 comorbidities. Let's be honest. If you are morbidly obese, personal responsibility. We can't keep blaming everybody for the data. The data is what the damn data is. And successful societies, successful leaders look at the data and take action based on the data. El Salvador had a massive crime problem. Has anyone done any reading on the drop in killings in El Salvador? What happened? The new president decided that he was not going to let criminals run the streets. So what happened? The data changed. The homicides dropped. It became a safer place. I will tell you why people want to lie about the data. Because they get a gain from it. They get some benefit by lying. They keep power. They get money. They get status. They get something. But you know who I will always love in my life? The people who speak the truth and get nothing. If somebody opens their mouth and they say the truth, think how you feel when you read that on something like X. Some random person that you've never heard of speaks the truth. And how do you feel? You feel good. We all feel good. And how do you feel when people lie? For example, about trend following data, or for example, about American crime stats by race. Look, it's not my problem how American crime stats by race got to be so unequal. It's not my problem. I didn't do it. But I sure as shit can observe the data. I can repeat the data. I don't have to play along like it's somehow or another a secret that we can't say that a very small percentage of the population does 60% of American gun homicides. But then, of course, when the gun homicide happens, you never hear this data, and all you hear are the people that then take the data, take the incident, and blame the gun. Or blame some one individual, like some one cop did it all. Look, I don't want to be a cop. There's good cops and there's bad cops. But there is not this overwhelming cop killings across America, meaning police killing average Americans. There's not this huge number set. There's not this massive data of cops indiscriminately and unjustly killing people in America. That's not the American problem. The American problem are the people doing the killings. And so if you're killing people, again, like analyzing any data set, start with the problem. Start with the data. Now, sadly, again, I know people listening right now will think, this is against my politics. I can't admit the statistics. It's against my politics. You know, that's literally probably a medical definition of insanity. That you cannot admit the truth because it will upset your personal politics. Try something different. Try not to do that. Don't try to protect your friends and family. Go for the truth. And if your friends and family don't like you for going for the truth, fuck them. Find new ones. Yeah, I mean it. If the people close to you don't want to talk about the truth, whether on Wall Street, whether it's crime statistics, whether it's antidepressant statistics, whether it's COVID statistics, vaccine statistics, I don't care. If people don't want to have honest conversations, why are you talking to them? Why are you beating your head in? Why are you a masochist? Let it go. Just let it go. Just like when I finish this conversation today, I'll let it go. I have a thought. I put it out there. I give you some data. I give you something to think about. And then let it go. That's all we can do. Because if you hold on to it, if you hold on to the lie, I promise you this, you will absolutely die faster. I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, michael@covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.